we're back with another Top Shelf Video podcast, and we're about to open the store. We haven't fully opened the shop. We're here a little early before the day kind of gets going, just because I was wanting to meet up with somebody. I found a guy who I'm hoping to get like, remember those old classic used car sales, or at grocery stores, you'd get a guy who would hand paint the numbering and the lettering on the glass.
Oh yeah.
So I want to get a guy to do that for our video store. So I think I found somebody who can do that, seeing that we have a lot of glass up front. I don't want to obviously distract from the some of the posters and stuff that will face outward, but that's fine. We got plenty of space. But yeah, how's it going?
Good. I'm ready to get the popcorn going myself. I haven't eaten today, so I'm ready to get that going and talk about movies. So
yeah, this is very much a popcorn movie. It's funny you say popcorn, because we're talking about 1985's American Ninja, which is a seminal, I would say, film of not only Cannon Films, the Golden Globus guys, but probably for you and I as well too. This is another one that kind of like in the lexicon, I think, of like movies that defined you and I.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
Oh yeah. I had that period of time. I thought I was going to be a ninja when I grew up. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I feel like you can definitely tell in the 80s, there was a huge surgence of let's just make ninjas like the thing. And, I mean, I guess you could kind of say like Hong Kong cinema, like late 70s going into the 80s, especially with like all the Bruce Lee stuff. And I think like the exposure to the American market was like a huge explosion. Because I think obviously I think America had never seen anything like this in terms of like this level of action and martial arts and all stuff. Like it seemed very mystical, I think, in a lot of ways. And
yeah.
I mean, it's, as much as like America was, the guns, and the muscle,
yeah,
like
cowboys, Indians.
Yeah. Cowboys, Indians. And then you had like Arnold coming on the scene, and like, I feel like a lot of the sword and sorcery, and just like a huge number of movies that I feel like were more in the zeitgeist, I guess, of the time, but also like you were saying, I think like cowboy movies and things like that. But when like martial arts, and in particular like the kung fu and the ninja and all this stuff sort of came, I mean, it was like, because I think you and I were part of that too, because I mean, we were the perfect age, right? Like I was like 10 when this movie came out, probably, or yeah, it would have been like 10.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was like all our lives for like, I want to say like there was a huge portion of our youth that it's like you were saying, where we were buying throwing stars.
Oh, yeah.
We wanted.
Yeah. Remember we had those red skateboards that had like ninja, like drawings on it, and it had, mom, I think we got it at the flea market, and all of us got one each, and yeah, they were red, and they had the throwing star on it, or a dude in a ninja outfit. It was it was flea market stuff, but we thought it was the shit because it had ninjas on it.
Yeah,
I mean, we had the benefit of having mom being having worked at Hager in her past. She was able to make us, remember there was a couple years where she would just sew and make us the ninja hoods and
yeah.
I mean, we were ninjas.
Every Halloween we wanted to be ninjas, and because we couldn't necessarily afford ninja outfits, mom would make ninja outfits for us.
Yep. With
and
sneakers.
in the end, that's I mean, it worked, right? Because that was kind of the nice part about the ninja was the uniform is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
A lot like this movie. So yeah, it's kind of funny you were mentioning the food, because I feel like this movie to me So yeah, it's 1985's American Ninja, directed by Sam Furstenberg, I think is how you pronounce that. Stars Michael Dudikoff and Steve James. Steve James was a big player in the kung fu action sort of genre. But yeah, this is basically the. I love IMDb because they're very like matter of fact with their descriptors. It's like American soldier, obviously very skilled in martial arts, single-handedly takes on mercenaries in the Philippines, and that's it. that is literally their premise. Yep. They're not most of the time they are not wrong with their premise or premises. I don't know, but when they write these, it's very matter of fact. But to be fair, this movie is very matter of fact. Like this movie, I referred to it in my notes that it's very much like a protein bar for like people that are like weightlifters and stuff like that. Like there's no fat. It just kind of gets right to it. Like literally from the first opening scene, or sequence where there's a convoy and they're hauling stuff.
They don't really talk about what they're hauling, but it's just it's a haul.
They're just army guys hauling stuff, and they are hijacked or
immediately ambushed.
Immediately, like within the first not even 5 minutes, I'm pretty sure, they are hijacked or they are ambushed, and they're trying to hijack the army crew. And it's not, they're not ninjas. They're just like local. Yeah.
Just the local thugs.
Yeah. I think they had referred to them as just, was it, like local, I think it was like, I don't know if it was thugs or they were saying like rebels or something.
Oh yeah. Rebels. They did mention rebels. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they were referred to like as rebels, but, it doesn't take long within that first sequence that the ninjas pop up just out of the woods or out of the jungle. And you already see like the main villain, who's the Black Star Ninja, because he has a black star on his face. Yeah. And he's credited as Black Star Ninja. And we meet Joe, who's the hero of the movie. And basically he thwarts off the attack of these ninjas. And as well, I guess I failed to mention though that part of the cargo that's being transported was the colonel's daughter for whatever reason. Like she's like not hauling stuff, but I guess she's in the convoy.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. I when I was watching the movie, Karen looked at me, my wife, and she kind of looked and she was like, "Why is she in the convoy?" I was like, "I have no idea, but it's important to the story." I was like, "Yes, but normally you wouldn't have a civilian in a convoy like that, because, especially if it's like some important, military equipment or whatever." They never mention what the hell's in the trucks, but for whatever reason, she's in front in the front vehicle, of the convoy, and just I was like, "What?"
That's what's really strange. She's like leading the convoy with the I guess the assigned the first sergeant private
and the driver.
Yeah. And so that was bizarre, which is funny because I have a note about that comes back around later. So we're introduced to the villain. We're introduced to the hero. He thwarts off the ninjas. No, that's actually not true. He thwarts off the rebels. And when the ninjas appear, he makes a run for it with the general's daughter or the colonel's daughter. They just run into the jungle, and then the ninjas appear and basically slaughter everybody. Like, because the ninjas are the badasses, whereas the rebels, they're like, man, they're just like standard mercenary type guys. So the ninjas are the ones that go chasing after them as they go off into the jungle. But, a couple of things that's kind of interesting is the Black Star Ninja tells the, I guess, staff sergeant or whoever that one guy is with the cigar.
Yeah, the first sergeant. He's
first sergeant.
He seems shady from the get-go, but it comes into play later.
He tells him for whatever reason that he asks who that guy is, and he says he has no idea because he just started, which seems, again, really odd that you don't know the people in your
unit.
Yeah. He says he has no idea because he's new and he just started and he just got here. And then for whatever reason, the ninja also explains to him that he has great skill. But then it's like, wait, why are you giving him all this info? But I guess part of what I was thinking later was like, wait, so how did this guy get away? Like they didn't kill the first sergeant or any of the other guys, and they never really explain how they actually get back or anything. But in any case, so yeah, basically, they kill all the other army guys that are there. And then, the movie starts, the movie kicks in. That's kind of like the cold open. It just really kind of gets going. But yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the army, the army convoy, or how any of that was handled from an actual army standpoint. I'm sure it was quite hilarious, but
yeah, I mean, looking back now, normally, a convoy would have an escorted gun truck in the front and the back, at least. It was just, I guess they don't really get into it. Why it seemed like it was just, I think it was a transportation unit, so they're obviously in the business of moving stuff around. But yeah, even then, it seemed very unprotected. Very, there were the soldiers. I don't think they had weapons when they pulled everybody out of the trucks. All the weapons were from the guy from the ambush from the mercenaries.
Oh yeah,
so,
you're right.
Yeah, so they had no weapons on any of the and it was like, no, this isn't. But it's like, I get it. It's one of those things. Is like, okay, it's just to play the scene out. They weren't going to survive this scenario anyway.
Yeah, they're the generic army guy.
Yeah. It's kind of like they were kind of like the red shirted Star Trek guy. They were all going to die no matter what.
Yeah,
didn't have names. So
yeah, they're very much like when we would play with our GI Joes. We would have the actual GI Joes that were brand name GI Joes. Those were like the guys that we liked playing with hero wise.
Yeah.
But then the ones that we would like shoot across the room or like set on fire were the generic Walmart guys that we would buy.
The Action Force and the
Action Force
Strike Team or
yeah, because those guys were like a fraction of the cost, and it's like, well, they're just whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like these army guys were kind of like they're like whatever. So yeah, we're introduced to our hero who's only goes, or Joe, I think. I don't even remember his last name. I don't even know if I'm sure maybe they mention it, but I don't think they do actually. They just say Joe.
I think when they're going through his file, when the colonel wants to know about him, I think he reads it and he's like, oh, he's got too many last names to count or some shit. Cause he went through,
right.
He was like, that's when they start finding more out of, like he's got, which, and again, when they were going over his file, it was like, parents unknown, place of birth unknown. I'm like, nah, come on. Like,
yeah, I know that the army was having a tough time recruiting, but I don't know if they would recruit people that literally they don't know where they're from, social security number, like any like hard data. Yeah. They're like, you'll do. Yeah. And that is the scene that kind of happens shortly thereafter this, which is they are going over his file and they're like,
because they're investigating what happened or whatever.
He very much sounded like the reading of the back of a G.I. Joe, like trading card off the back of a box. Cause it was like you were saying, parents unknown, place of birth unknown, like unknown origin. Like he's so awesome that everything is just unknown to like the military and everybody. And so I guess they determined that I guess they're going to court martial him, or they're going to potentially court martial him because, not so much because, of what he did as much as I guess because other people were killed or whatever.
They're just trying to put the blame on him. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not very clear about the whole thing, but they basically put him on like, I guess, I don't know. It's not KP, right? KP is kitchen.
Yeah. KP is just like kitchen duty. He was like confined to the post. Like he couldn't leave.
Yeah.
He couldn't basically he couldn't go on convoys anymore. So he was like, they show him, he was like taking the trash and just kind of just kind of like the lone guy. He was just off by himself, and which, I mean, I guess that's. I mean, I imagine these days it's more like you're confined to the barracks, but this guy was confined to the base, so he couldn't leave with convoys and what have you.
Yeah, so he's left to doing, I guess, like trash and probably toilets and things like that. Yeah. While they are determining what they're going to do with him in terms of like the whatever the legal, I guess, side of all of that. And so then at that point we're introduced to more people on the base, which we're introduced to, Jackson, who I don't know. I assume he's also maybe like a sergeant or something.
Yeah. He was just an E5 sergeant, had no, I guess we call them rockers, but he was just a buck sergeant. He was just, kind of somewhere he's in the middle. Still a sergeant though.
So, yeah. So we're introduced to Jackson as, I guess like all the men of that unit are coming out, and they kind of run into Joe, and they quickly start running into, or they quickly start harassing him because they're saying like, oh, it's the guy, like the guy that got our friends killed. And, they're not really going to stand for any of this or whatever. And, which is kind of funny because then they start harassing him and start pushing him around. And I guess we quickly see the skills of Joe, because Jackson, who's played by Steve James, very muscly American looking, very classic. Actually looks like a G.I. Joe character, I thought.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
The haircut.
He's the typical, buffed soldier action, like what you would imagine to be like a typical infantry type of, muscle bound guy. That I think he references like he's like the unit's like a karate instructor or something.
Yeah.
After their one-on-one.
Yeah. Is that a thing? Like, are there
karate
instructors within
they don't call it karate. It's they have combatives. So they're taught a lot more. It's almost, when we went through that before we went to Afghanistan, it felt more like MMA training, like a lot of ground, hand to hand. So it's just called combatives. I don't think they're specific to a specific type of fighting.
Yeah, I guess maybe the Army in the 80s was still like, hey, this karate. we should go all in on this karate until we find something better. Because wheeling around swords and stuff it's not going to cut it. So Joe and Jackson kind of get into it. They get into fisticuffs, and Joe basically, I don't know how to describe it. He Steven Seagals him in that, like, whatever move Jackson has for him, like he easily just like
counters it,
sweeps him, throws him over the shoulder. I mean, like, basically Jackson can't even get in a punch because Joe is just like super smooth with his moves. It was just kind of funny because like they fight for a good like 2 or 3 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, because Jackson loses, he's like, you know what? When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'm like, wait a minute. So he kicked your ass and that's it. Like, your friends are still dead, but whatever, I guess. Like, all is forgiven once, Jackson has his ass handed to him by Joe. But yeah. So, which is, for this movie, again, protein bar, totally fine. Like, they're immediately best friends. And Jackson's trying to convince Joe to say like, hey, we should do demonstrations and we should do stuff. Like, you're really good with these moves.
Yeah. We can make some money off of this.
Yeah. So he wants to cash in on Joe, and Joe's like, I have no idea what they're going to do to me. They're probably going to throw me in jail. So like, whatever. But yeah, all is forgiven quickly, within the first like 20 minutes of the movie. Like, Joe's cool now. Everybody's down with Joe, including the other people that we see in the beginning. And thus from that, Joe quickly, I guess, builds a romantic relationship with the colonel's daughter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she's supposed to leave town, and then she gets the driver to turn around. She, in a matter of a drive in town, they concoct that elaborate thing where they come up with a story. They help Joe get off the base on a motorcycle just to go have dinner with the colonel's daughter at some fancy ass restaurant that's in the Philippines. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even though Joe doesn't realize that he is being set up, like in a good way, I guess, for him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They basically tell him like, "Hey, I need you to deliver this message," and then it turns out it's all, like you said, it's a setup for a dinner date. And it's like, all right, and we're having dinner now, and lo and behold, the secondary story that's kind of happening while we're getting to know Joe in the first half of the movie, turns out that I think we pretty much quickly learned that like the first sergeant is in cahoots with I guess a guy named Ortega.
Yeah, he's like the local, I guess,
businessman.
A businessman, but I guess he's a slash arms dealer.
Well, he's arm dealer under the table.
Yeah, but his front is like a product manufacturer, distribution. It's very generic.
Very generic. Very generic. Where he's just like, I don't know. He's like that guy in Monopoly that just buys like all the big plots so that he looks important. So lo and behold, we find out that the first sergeant is in cahoots with Ortega, and he is basically, I guess he is
he's the guy on the
Oliver
inside.
Northing. He's Oliver Northing.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because which explains why he was not killed in the convoy, because he's the guy on the inside that I guess we have to infer that he's letting them know when the convoys are headed out because he's in charge of the convoy, and then they get ambushed.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
So that's that. Yeah. And, so we quickly learned that because at the dinner date, with Joe, and,
Patricia,
I believe her name, Patricia is what it was.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you recognized her. It took me a minute, but I realized she's the girl from,
Weird Science.
Yep. Yeah. Cause I was like, oh wait, I was like, she looked familiar and I couldn't place it.
Yep. She's one of the girls.
One of the two,
the love interests. Girls.
Yeah. In Weird Science. But, so yeah, we see Ortega and First Sergeant at the dinner. And so as the viewer, we realize like, oh no, like, they're in cahoots. And Joe is becoming a problem, for Ortega and his business or his side gig, which is arms dealing. So then, shortly thereafter, the first sergeant sends Joe out on another mission not mission, but I guess another like
just a task
detail.
Detail.
Task
exactly.
Or something.
Yeah.
Which is basically another setup to try to get him killed on the base. At least I assume it seemed like if it's not on the base, it was nearby.
Yeah, it was nearby. I think he was going to it looked like a warehouse by a port. Because you remember there's boats and stuff in the background.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, that wasn't a thing, with me and my wife both having been in the military. When we get to this scene, we were like, she's like, really? By himself? He's going to go by himself. No, that never happens.
Sure.
You never send just one guy with a truck.
Right.
At a minimum, he'd have a somebody riding shotgun or something. But no, this dude, they send Joe by himself.
Well, to be fair, like his plan, the evil plan of like the first sergeant, he's trying to play it out, right? In like, no evidence, no, like, let's, oh no, what was he doing there?
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes to this warehouse, which, he set up to get him. I can't remember. I think it was more rebels or mercenaries. I think the ninjas show up later, maybe, or something. I can't remember that sequence, but they basically try to kill him again, and it fails. And then the Black Star Ninja is even more impressed because he's just like, well, this shouldn't be happening because like this is just some random army guy. Like how does he know the secret ways of like
the
ninja? Yeah. And it is slightly referenced, I think, in the beginning or throughout that like Joe as a child, which is another thing I didn't really understand this because they said that he lost his memory because they found him and as a small child. And then they said it was like maybe 6 years ago that he had like been found and lost his memory. And so he doesn't remember anything when he was a child.
He was out in the jungle, and I guess when they were clearing the jungle to make way to like for construction to make a road, he got caught in an explosion when they were clearing the land. And so when they found him, he was unconscious and he had no recollection of everything that happened prior to the explosion. Right. So he had total amnesia. And that's why his records were saying they had no back history because he had no memory of the history to give them or, So,
right. But they said that happened like 6 years ago. And Joe in this movie, Home Slice, looks like he's like 33. Like, does not look like.
The math wasn't mathing, I guess. Yeah.
No, the math did not math out at all because it was like, wait, so he's like 18 or 19? Like, is what I'm guessing because
I guess that's what they're trying to. Like he's in his in his like early or late teens. Like, I mean, yeah,
he did not look in his late teens. Like, unless there was a hormone that they were giving, like young people back in the 80s. I'm pretty sure that is not the case because we didn't look anything like this guy.
Oh no, hell no!
At this age, but he did not look like he was in his early teens. Like Home Slice looked like he was like 30 at minimum. But in any case, we'll allow it. The court will allow that. But so he escapes from another assassination attempt on him because he is becoming too much of a problem. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think some kind of stuff.
They catch him at the gate when he's trying to come back in.
Oh, that's right.
The MPs say, "Yeah, no, you stay here," and then they put him in jail. And they put him in the brig because, again, because the first sergeant, since he's on the inside, they're immediately trying to say, "Oh, well, he lost this military piece of equipment. Now it's a thing, right?" So then they put him in jail for that.
Yeah, and then I think at that point, I think shortly thereafter, I think we come to the realization, or it is shown to us that not only is the first sergeant involved, but like the colonel is involved in the arms dealing as well too, which kind of goes back to the original start of the movie. Did he knowingly try to get his daughter killed? Because like he would have known.
That's true. He would have known that they're going to ambush that. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And they put like the daughter out front. So like, I don't know if he just didn't care for his daughter or something, but it's like, man, what a shitty dad. Like,
that didn't even occur to me till you just said that because the colonel was in on it the whole time when they have that reveal. So then it's like, then why would you even risk having your daughter in that convoy?
Yeah.
But then again, I don't think obviously because it had been happening in the past. But Joe, like usually they would just kind of get held up, and they would take the trucks or whatever, and no harm, no foul as far as people,
right? But
because Joe is I'm not standing for this, soldier, and we're gonna fight the fight and everything. So then he's the reason why things go immediately awry,
right?
So yeah, I mean, I guess she was, I guess it hadn't been an issue before, I suppose.
Yeah, Joe is
Joe's the problem. He says,
Joe's throwing everything into. Yep, he is throwing just everything into chaos, and this is like the unexpected hero. So yeah, that kind of leads to the Black Star Ninja and Ortega being like, "All right, enough is enough.
Yeah, we need to just handle it.
Let's just get it taken care of." So they're going to assassinate Joe in the prison, or in the lockup
on the base.
on the base, which didn't really seem like a very hardcore prison. It just kind of seemed like a like a house with a couple of barred windows at best. I mean, to be fair, I don't know. Maybe they were gonna extradite him or move him. I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, the Black Star Ninja quickly and easily is able to get in and tries to assassinate Joe again, and fails. I think a couple more people get killed along the way.
Couple guards.
Yeah. And, so then he escapes, or he's on the run. And I want to say like, First Sergeant is like chasing him in a truck or whatever. And then he, which is a great, is a great chase scene with the First Sergeant in like a MP, Jeep.
Yeah, those were the old school Jeeps, like World War II era.
Yeah,
Jeeps. Yeah.
And so he's chasing him, and then in a very Simpson-esque sort of moment, I forget exactly how he gets off rails or whatever, but like the First Sergeant loses control and goes off the road and hits a tree, and the Jeep explodes in a massive explosion in a very Simpsons-esque like sort of moment. Cause, I do understand that they had, did they call them jerry cans in the back that would be full of gasoline?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that he hit it in the front. Right. Exactly. He hit it head on. So, the fact that, First Sergeant exploded was interesting. And then that kind of leads to pretty much the finale, where I think at that point we realized that everything's just kind of gone. Everything's just kind of gone like belly up. The jig is up. I guess the weapons that Ortega was trying to get, which it looked like it was some rocket launchers or some sort of...
it actually looked like a Stinger missile, which is an air defense weapon system that I actually got to play with. I mean, it was a Hollywood version because it looked very... too much extra crap on it, but it did have like the man, I forgot what it was called, but it had like the radar tracking on the side. And it had the shape and the look of a Stinger missile. But that was, I guess, the Hollywood, version. But yeah, that was the big cargo. That was the big, mystery in the box,
the $4 million profit.
$4 million. Yep.
He said he was going to make $4 million on this particular,
on this
gig.
one job. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, at the end, we are now at the compound, or Ortega's compound, and I guess like they're making the exchange with the money and the goods and the merchandise. And Joe is on his way to try to put the kibosh on all this. They've taken the colonel's daughter with them as ransom because they need leverage.
Yeah, because the colonel threatened to just put a stop on everything.
Yeah.
In that same meeting.
Yep. He pretty much is like, I want out. I don't want to deal with this anymore. With this.
Yeah.
So they take her for collateral. They are meeting up, and Joe is on his way to the compound. And before Joe reaches the end of the compound, in a very classic 1980s move of these types of movies, he runs into his master, who was there the entire time as the compound gardener.
That's right.
Who was silent?
Yeah, he was the silent master.
Yeah, the silent master Japanese man that just never said anything until the end of the movie. And Joe runs into his master, who he pulls aside. And then we have, I think, about like a 10-minute montage of, hey, let me give you your backstory.
Your final lesson.
Yeah, of what really happened. Like you that I actually found you. And that's the other thing too. In that flashback, they show him as a young kid. And so again, the way that they frame the movie, they make it sound like it was only just a handful of years, but in reality, like, I don't know what time, delineation they were in, but it's like, holy shit, like that was a very different, like, you know, he grew up very strong and drank his milk and did everything Mr. T said, because Joe is huge for somebody that's supposed to be like 19. But so we get the backstory of Joe through the eyes of the master, and then probably, I think, one of two like best parts of the entire movie as a young person was, let me show you every ninja weapon that's ever been made displayed like out on the floor. And I'm going to show you, or I wasn't sure what that was. Like he was showing him like a buffet of weapons. I don't know if he was actually going to take them all, but
these are all yours to master. And, or, you know, it was just
classic.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was everything that we wanted as a kid.
Yeah, that was everything out of the back of a magazine of like.
I was about to say, you remember some? I don't remember how or whose they were, but there were magazines that I remember when we were younger.
Yep.
And in the back catalog, there were, you could order throwing stars and the daggers and the claws for your hands, so we could climb the trees that we never got. And I
think we did actually, but those never worked very well. Like I remember them being some of the cheaper items you could buy, but they would break. Very easily, if I remember correctly. But yeah, basically,
But he had ordered the whole catalog. It was all laid out for him.
Yeah, the catalog was there for everything from the stars, the blow dart, the throwing star, the ninja sword, the short ninja sword, there were just like metal rods that looked like little throwing metal rods.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's like a name for them. And then the daredevil looking, I don't know what you called. It's kind of got the three pronged sort of like sword where like the middle one's a little bit longer and then the other two are shorter.
Oh, I want to say they're called Sai, I think.
Yeah, Sai.
Yeah, because I remember. Yeah,
that's Daredevil, or is it?
No, Elektra.
Elektra has that weapon. Yeah. So yeah, it is literally the magazine, like you said, just sprawled out on the floor, and it was. I remember when I was rewatching this, I remember seeing that scene. I thought like, oh man, I actually felt that moment as a kid of just like, oh shit, look at that. Look at that lineup, man. Like as an adult, I feel like it is like my duty to buy all those things now because I can. And there's no, I guess mom and dad could tell me not to, but I have my own mortgage and I feel like I can do whatever I want now. So, but in any case, we're introduced to the master, Joe, and Ortega is about to make the final push on the merchandise, and here comes Joe and the master to basically put the kibosh on everything, which is the finale fight of the movie, which I have to say in retrospect was pretty okay, but I have to say I was pretty disappointed that the master doesn't last very long.
Yeah, that did kind of suck. After rewatching, I'm like, dude, he's the master. Like it seemed like he should have had a little more, I guess, some more kills, I guess.
Yeah, or just
a little more badassery.
Yeah, a little more juice.
I mean, I get that he was old. I give you that one. He was considerably older, because they say he was the last guy who thought the war was still going on, and that's why he was in the Philippines, and they show him in the Japanese soldier garb. But even still, I mean, it's like
he'd only be like in his 50s or like 50s, 50 like early 60s at most. So he's still, I would think for a master, he would have a little more kick in him. And then he dies in a really like shitty way, like basically jumping in front of a bullet for Joe.
Oh yeah.
And it's like lame, but the rest of the fighting that happens in there is pretty cool. Like there's a whole sequence of action and everything that kind of leads up to it. And then, basically, it all leads up to Black Star Ninja and Joe getting into the final fight.
Yeah.
We were pretty much all waiting for. And, what was cool about that, even though like it was kind of it felt a little out of place for the movie, but I think you get a real sense of like the upper hand that the Black Ninja had, because he had everything from
the laser.
He had laser. He had laser action
and a flamethrower attachment to his armor.
He had bullet action.
He was cheating.
Oh man. Like I would imagine he would have been removed from like ninja, like his ninja membership, I think would have been revoked for like using unlicensed, like ninja,
unofficial like, from the mag. It was not in the magazine official. So he was using he was using shit that was that's not part of your ninja inventory.
Yeah. So I mean it was classic villain sort of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Classic villain stuff in that he was doing whatever he needed to do to take out Joe, whereas Joe was going traditional old school like throwing stars and sword and
I guess he was I guess you would say he was like dishonoring the ninja code or something because he was pulling out all this illegal shit and we're like whoa the ninjas don't use lasers and laser beams, what the hell.
It was very WWE of like the ref kind of coming out going like whoa, what is this, like can't use guns, like you gotta stay in the ring. Yeah. So yeah, it leads to the big battle at the end, which is kind of fun. I think it was fun for what it was. I think it was maybe a little more exciting as a kid, but
of course.
The funny thing is Ortega, for whatever reason, decides to kind of hang around. And I don't know if
watch the fight. Yeah, no,
it's like he's either waiting to watch the pay-per-view fight of these two guys going down, or he actually is waiting and trying to take the Black Ninja with him.
I think that's what it was, because as soon as the Black Ninja went down, he's like, all right, let's go. Because I'm pretty sure he was waiting because that was like his one, that was basically his private security.
Sure.
So it would make sense. He was waiting for him. I guess he thought he was going to make quick work of Joe because I don't think he had really seen him to that point, that what his capabilities were. So he was an equal match to the Black Star Ninja, which Ortega was not used to seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I guess that's probably what it was. I think for a minute there, though, like you were saying, I took it as like he wanted to watch the pay-per-view fight from like a helicopter because he was like, no, I want to watch this. Like, I want to see where this goes. Because I was like, I want to watch this and see where this goes. So, of course, like Joe becomes the hero. But as all this is happening, the army shows up and led by Jackson and the colonel at this point. And I love this because the army comes in full just balls to the wall, blazing. Like literally guns blazing. And Jackson has decided to go in G.I. Joe uniform and not
he's looking like Roadblock instead of he's no longer like an official military uniform. He's like looking like Roadblock from G.I. Joe with the camouflage tank top with a bandana or a headband.
The bandoliers, the two bandoliers with an M60 and he's going all out. So they come in, basically they chase off Ortega and Joe rescues the colonel's wife or the colonel's daughter. And Jackson blows him out of the sky with the Stingray missile, which for that time, that effect, that miniature or whatever it is they blew up was pretty impressive. They blow up that helicopter.
The helicopter, that was a good solid explosion.
Yeah.
But that's right. I forget. Yeah, Joe is dangling on the helicopter and gets in there, punches Ortega, grabs the girl right conveniently as they're flying over the rooftop, so they're able to jump out of the helicopter. And then that's when Jackson has the missile, then and he shoots him out of the sky. So yeah.
Yeah, and then that's basically it, the wrap of the movie. Pretty straightforward 1980s action movie. I will say the two things, or two things that kind of stood out to me just in rewatch. And I watched this on VHS. I have my big. This is probably this was a rental, like it's a big clamshell. Box. Even though this wasn't like somebody cut the box in order to put it in this, but I can tell that this was a rental from an actual rental house because the inside has a big sticker that says it's a Gemini Video at 670 Depot Street, East or Northeastern Massachusetts. 508-230-3917. That's their phone number. But yeah, so the two things that stuck out for me that I thought was kind of great was one of them was there was a sequence in the movie where they kind of they show you the classic. Let's show the evil lair of where Ortega lives, and they do like a little quick montage of basically a giant like obstacle training course.
Oh, that's ninjas. Right. Yeah. He's giving a tour to the buyer. That's right.
Yeah, and so he's showing him why his merchandise is safe because he's got an army with him
of ninjas.
and they show all the ninjas, which as a young kid I remember being like, oh man, they rank the ninjas because like there were yellow ninjas, red ninjas, blue ninjas, green ninjas, and I always wanted to know, like, I wonder what the ranking is in color.
Yeah. I imagine it's like the belts, like the karate belts. You have the different colors.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it would make sense. I imagine with karate, at the time with karate being popular, I guess that was a way to kind of I think Americans already knew there was a color ranking system within karate, so they just did it with the ninjas. So we could be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Those are like the guys in training, and like, oh, then these guys are the ones that are already to the archery level, and then and then you got to get to the black star. The black ninjas were the top of the class, I guess.
Yeah, as a kid, man, I that was like one of my favorite scenes, was just seeing ninjas go through an obstacle course of training in various colors, doing various things, like climbing walls and just hacking stuff with swords or whatever. The second thing that kind of stuck out for me a little bit, which I thought was kind of a little bit hilarious, and it's something I think I may want to have in the store as merch, even though it may drive me nuts. The music for this was interesting because it was very like orchestrated music. It wasn't necessarily great orchestrated music. And in particular, in the opening sequence, there's like a trumpet that is playing that is like excessively loud. And if I do a little editing here, and I don't know how often we'll do this on the podcast, but I may put in a little clip of the audio. Because holy shit, there's a guy playing trumpet like above everybody else, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. And I guess you and I both being former like high school band nerds, it is like that one guy who his lips are bleeding from hitting a note like so high.
Yeah.
And he's also the guy that you're kind of like, okay, we get it, dude. We get it. You can play high notes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he's the guy that's majoring in music.
Yes. And when you hear the audio, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. Cause it shows up in the beginning and it shows up in the end. And I was like, man, I feel like I want to have the soundtrack on vinyl and occasionally like play it in the store. Cause like it will drive me insane, but it would be kind of funny for me to like have that there of like this trumpet, just like peering through, the rest of the background music in the store. But
I guess it had to have been intentional then, if it was in the beginning and in the end. I mean,
oh yeah.
I wonder. See, now I'm going to be racking my brain trying to figure out the reasoning behind that. But,
yeah. Well, I would imagine in a Golden Globus, like in a Cannon film, they were like, "Hey, we gotta have an orchestrated score," and I'm sure they just like threw together like a band, because you can hear the strings, you can hear the horns, and you can hear a somewhat decent like orchestrated score, and then the trumpet just like pierces through everything, and you're like, wow, Jesus. Like, but yeah, so those were two of the things that I kind of enjoyed in reviewing this. I don't know. Did you have any favorite moments or favorite like sequences or things from the movie that I wouldn't say second viewing. This is probably like my 300th viewing of this movie, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I gotta say, I mean, I think, just because I can't help but kind of start critiquing all the military stuff just out of, yeah. I mean, I can't help it,
yeah, sure.
But no, I found it incredibly, like, I guess trying to think of like as a soldier, I was like, when they had him in the brig or in the jail, and then he gets, when the Black Star Ninja makes his way in, so all the doors are open. He's killing the guard. Joe makes his way out, and then there's conveniently a ladder on the side of the building that he uses to just top. He's able to climb over the fence because there's a ladder on the prison side, on the jail side of the fence that he's able to just use it to climb up. And I was just like, who, like, why?
Yeah,
I mean, it's funny because like the building isn't even. It was taller than you would need a ladder for. Like the ladder was like excessively long, obviously, so he could just drop it onto the fence. But it was like the ladder was like twice the size of the building almost, it seemed like. So it was like, why is that even there?
Yeah, you're right. It's almost like 6 o'clock rolled around. The guy who was ever using it was like, well, my shift's over. I'm not.
Yeah, he just left shit
I'm
there.
literally just leaving, like Fred Flintstone just kind of like literally just ran off.
Yeah, just took off.
Dropped everything.
Yeah, so just little things like that. And then where's the other thing? I guess I remember when he comes in when he comes in after the initial ambush and goes back and lays in his bunk in the barracks, and everybody's kind of giving him the dirty eyes and the stink eye. And they're like, oh, let's get out of here, and and I was just looking at, the bunks are all made, and I was reminiscing of like boot camp because, we don't guys. I mean, well, this was the 80s, but like the only time you see stuff like that is like in basic training. And when you're in any type of school, you have to put like the medicine corners on the bunks and everything's got to be all nice and tight. And I was just, I don't know. I guess I was just looking at that, and just kind of laughing because I was like, man,
now that you say that, if I remember correctly in that one scene, like some of the other bunks and other things in the background, like there's like a bunch of like, swimsuit model type posters on the back wall. Like, if I remember that, like there was one corner that just had all kinds of like just stuff all over like the wall, which was kind of because it looked like a dorm.
Yeah, basically
it looked like a dorm room in some of the back areas. Yeah, that was I for whatever reason that sequence was pretty funny when we're still thinking that Joe is like, well, is this Joe a good guy or a bad guy or whatever? And they're trying to set all that up for you. But
and all the trucks they were driving, I remember those were 2.5 ton trucks. The deuce and a halves is what they called them. And and again, it was one of those things where I kind of had that moment of like, I had that memory kind of kick in and I was like, oh yeah. Cause I actually enjoyed driving those things because they were stick shift. The larger 5-ton trucks were automatic, but the deuce and a halves were stick shift. And the last time I got to drive those when I got sent to Guantanamo Bay in I want to say it was 95 for a humanitarian mission. And so we were just using the equipment that was there. Yeah. And we fell in on a older unit stuff and it was all deuce and a halves. And I just remember I got to drive stick shift and it was fun. I just remember I remember seeing those trucks. I'm like, oh man, it brought back memories just driving, because I didn't get to drive trucks much. Once I got on track vehicles and all that shit, I wasn't in any kind of Humvees or anything like that. But I did get a chance to drive that when I was still a private back then, a private first class. So I of course, I got tasked to be the driver and maintain the truck. So yeah, just seeing some of those older vehicles, I was like, oh man, that it just brought back good memories.
Yeah, and I think that brings us. That's a good point to bring us back around. Is like this movie does drum up a lot of good memories of watching this and being a constant rental for us as as young kids and wanting to be ninjas and wanting to fight like karate style and fight ninja style and jumping off of rooftops and trying to barrel roll on the ground and all that stuff. But
tell me if you remember this. Do you remember?
Okay.
When maybe one of the first or second times we watched this at Theo Eddie's, because I remember he was big on the karate stuff, and I'm almost positive that he was the one who got us into the ninja stuff. But I remember that when on the weekends that we were lucky enough to stay at his house with our cousins, we started making throwing darts out of the sewing needles that belonged to Grandma.
Oh yeah,
it had the little ball on the end, so we would get the thread and we learned to make them, and then we would shoot them at each other out of straws. Yep. And I remember one time in particular, we were making them, and we would hide. He had a pool table, so we would hide under there, and we would be in the dark, and we'd be like throwing blow darts at each other. And I remember, I think I don't remember if it was, I don't think it was you. I'm pretty sure it was one of our cousins. And, but like we caught somebody on their foot. Like it was a solid, the needle went in and it was just, that kind of put a stop to things for a little while.
Yeah.
But I totally remember
a little too far.
Yeah. I totally remember, making, I mean, I don't know what the hell we were thinking at the time, but it seemed like a good idea. Yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time. I mean, I guess, Gen X kids, we just, rub some dirt on it, or just.
But I will add a caveat of like the movies did not make us do it. We did it because we wanted to do it, not because we were influenced by the movies. Just saying.
No, yeah. I agree.
But in any case, is this movie a top shelf video rental for us? Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. So as much as I love this movie and it brought back memories of that type of that age, where we were influenced by ninjas and stuff, I'm going to have to say no. But I say no with the comfort of knowing that since our martial arts section will be in alphabetical order, this one should still get some good amount of play because it's
on the end cap.
It's American Ninja. So I think it'll still be I think it'll still get some high rental value. But if knowing that there's other martial arts movies somewhere down the line that I think are higher than this one, I'm going to save my martial art pick for top shelf. I'm going to have to give it to somebody else. I've got other things in mind. I'm not going to mention them, but it's a high honorable mention, I guess. But I'm gonna just leave this one in the martial arts section.
Yeah, I would second that. I actually, also don't think it's necessarily a top shelf video. That said, and maybe we'll cover it at some point on here, American Ninja 2 may be a contender for a top shelf video. It's been a minute since I watched it, but very different movie. The only correlation it has to the first one is that some of the same actors are in it, and that's about it. But yeah, for this one in particular, this one it brought back a lot of great memories, and I would love if people would watch this, and I would recommend it, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's part of our must rents, sort of. Maybe, maybe if the mood is right in the summer, and it's hot out and you want to watch something on your, like at a drive-in with a hot dog or something, like this movie fits the bill. Cause like I said, it's pretty much, there's no fat on this movie. It's pure protein and just, kind of gets to the point of it. But I still feel though, it's a certain audience that you really have to appreciate this type of movie, which is, very specific genre. I will say like it's a pretty well put together movie. I feel like the Cannon movies in general are always like really good movies. I can't think of a bad Cannon movie that's like literally boring. This movie is far from boring.
Oh no. Yeah, the action is, I don't want to say nonstop, but it's like you said, because they trim all the fat off this thing. Which also explains why it's only an hour and a half long. It's an hour and 35 minutes. So I mean, even though it's not top shelf worthy, but that's easily Monday martial arts night, hour and a half. I mean, you could. Oh yeah. I mean, hell, you could get this in on a Monday night and not cut into your sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like you could do. This is get you started with the week with a little American Ninja. That way your Monday, if you had a rough Monday, like American Ninja will get you through, the rest of that Monday and on to the rest of the week. But yeah, I agree. It would probably, if you were to double feature it with something, it would more than likely make a good second feature in a double feature, like martial arts, very similar action movie, on a Saturday afternoon or something like that, if you want to put that in. But yeah, I actually, this is one of the rare times where it's like, I think I would rather this is like a DVD that I would want in our inventory. Like, I don't know if I would want in any other format other than DVD. Like, I would normally say VHS, but because there's going to be a certain amount of space that I feel like, we want to reserve, because obviously VHS tapes take up a little more space. I would probably just have like a couple of these on DVD, because I feel like DVD is probably the best format to watch this in, because it doesn't matter if you watch this in a high res, if anything, the lower res probably helps this movie and adds a quality to it. So I don't know if I would want a whole lot more than just a standard DVD. I don't know if you
okay. No, that's fair.
Thoughts?
No, that's fair. I can get behind that that stance, because like you said, I mean it's if it doesn't improve, or the quality is not any different than if we're just gonna, like you said, if we have to factor in our space, then yeah, DVD would be sufficient.
Yeah, it'd probably cost us a little more to get a couple of Blu-rays or of this, and it's like, well, what are you really getting out of the Blu-ray? I don't think you're going to get much. That said, I would, as on I guess our not necessarily our main floor, maybe off to the side where we have some of our more additional items that you can get at the store. I would love to carry a couple of ninja magazines or karate magazines for some of the karate shelves, because I would hope that they still have like order nunchucks or throwing stars or things like that out of back magazines. I'd like to have a couple of those around. I think it'd be kind of fun to have some of those. And I was also thinking the bandanas that Jackson has at the end of the movie. I feel like we can have licensed American Ninja apparel for the exclusive, like, well, yeah, I would just go with the headband. I don't know, but I would also, it would be co-sponsored by Top Shelf Video, like on one side of the headband and right in the middle, it would say like American Ninja.
Right.
I don't know, probably like in red or something very similar to what Jackson had in the movie, but,
well, I mean, I don't think you can ever go wrong with a camouflage tank top that says Top Shelf Video on it.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. But it's got to be an '80s style camouflage, not the.
Oh yeah, no,
not the modern day.
No, it's got to be the old traditional woodland camouflage.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because, like, as much as I kind of like the poster on this one, and I was thinking about it. I was like,
that is kind of badass.
It is cool, and it is a very video store-esque poster with Michael Dudikoff with like a sword, like over a ninja, kind of like slamming it down, and the ninja's blocking him. And it says, "The deadliest art of the Orient is now in the hands of an American ninja." With
the American flag behind it, like
with the American flag behind
an American Ninja version of Patton.
Yeah, I feel like I would, even though this isn't a Top Shelf Video for us, this is like one of those posters that I would want facing out on the glass that people could see from the outside in, just because it's a badass poster. Like, I mean, Dudikoff, who apparently is like 19 or whatever in this supposedly in this poster, he's a pretty cut dude. He's got the very iconic, like, sort of action look to him.
Yeah.
He's not super like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he's,
but he's got like defined like triceps, and he's holding, he's got like, his everything's just like, especially in the poster, it's like, it's got like, you can see the cuts of the muscle on the arms, the forearms. So it's like the typical action star, not like you said, not Arnold big, but just a guy who can definitely handle himself.
Yeah. So like, for the ladies, you got a little something there with the muscular man. It's kind of funny though, if we're going to be nitpicky here, the ninja has a ninja sword and he does not have a ninja sword. Because the ninja sword should be a square.
Oh, that's right. No,
square top. Like for the arm, whatever. I guess that blocks the arm.
Yeah. I forgot what that's called, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's in the whole movie. I remember that because I remember when we were making them, we would cut cardboard and make sure we had to be square, because we could get like, we would buy like the Dollar General plastic swords, but it wasn't a ninja sword, so we would have to make our own, hand guard. and it would be square, and then we would either use Dad's electrical tape to make it black, and then we would, run it through the plastic
Sharpie
sword.
Marker it. Yep.
Because if it didn't have that square hand guard, then it wasn't a ninja sword.
It's not a ninja sword. Yeah, that's a samurai sword or a pirate sword or whatever. But yeah, I actually would want to carry a little bit of merch for American Ninja, just because I think it's very iconic to the video store and
the era. Kind of definitely.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of important. So I would want to at least have that poster facing out on our front glass, as you walk into the store.
Yeah,
so
that would definitely compensate for not making it to the top shelf. Yep. If it gets a window time, then it'll still get the love that it deserves.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think that kind of covers pretty much anything. Is there anything else that you can think of in terms of last kind of notes on the movie, or anything we need for the shop that you kind of thought of as watching this movie?
No. I think the movie, like I said, there's no need to add any extra flavoring to it because this was straight and to the point. So I think American Ninja, just two, 3 DVD copies for the inventory, and one poster. I think I can get that ordered.
Yeah, no, that kind of works. Well, all right. We got a ways to go to fill up our action / martial arts section, but I think this is a good start. I think this will help define the rest of our shelves for this genre. So yeah, I guess we should probably get ready to open the store here pretty soon. Looks like there are a couple people that are going to be waiting outside, so we probably should get things rolling. But yeah, this was a good one. So we'll see if we can push this one to a couple customers. But let's see what else we can get added to the martial arts section.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, well, I'll get the lights kicked on and get the neon lights on, and you can get
I'll sweep up front. Just I'll sweep up front, then I'll get the front door, and then we are open for business. All right.
Sounds good.
Well, then,
all right, let's do this.
I'll talk to everybody else later.
All right.
See ya.
All right, have a good one.